Well, it seems like we have our big news of the week. Very big news of the week. You know, the kind of news that might last actually many weeks, maybe even months, because there is so much to talk about here. And this could be one of the biggest shakeups we have seen in the grading market since the invention of pressing and cleaning. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swagglehos. And there you see it right in front of you. CGC to acquire JSA, the world leader in autograph authentication. The dagger going into the hearts of CBCS on this very morning. CGC getting into the signature authentication game. And so in this video, we're going to go through the press report. We're going to read it together. I might add a little bit of commentary and insight, or my opinion, I should say, when it feels necessary. But also, I would love to hear what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. But of course, before I get into the video, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, I appreciate it. Help support the channel, doing those things. Also, Sanity Kickstarter. We just launched yesterday. It is live. We've hit our goal, but hey, we got 28 days to go. Hop on the bandwagon. You can get signed comic books by me. That is actually an option in your pledge. And now, thanks to this announcement, you can get them verified at CGC. Well, let us get into the article here. Certified Collectibles Group to acquire James Spence authentication. CCG and JSA will provide a seamless solution for autograph collectors to have their items authenticated, graded, and encapsulated by the world's top experts. Certified Collectibles Group, the leader in authenticating and grading collectibles, is excited to announce that it has entered into a definitive agreement to acquire James Spence Authentication, otherwise known as JSA, the leader in autograph authentication. The combination of CCG and JSA will provide collectors and dealers with seamless solution to have autograph collectibles authenticated, graded, and encapsulated by the world's top experts. For those who don't know, JSA is probably the most prominent authentication autograph service in the market. So the fact that they're combining forces with CCG, and actually CCG is acquiring them, kind of shows, you know, the power involved in this acquisition. JSA, of course, spends a lot of time authenticating sports memorabilia and like historical memorabilia, as well as celebrities and things like that. And I would say that, you know, their brand is pretty well respected, at least from the people that I've talked to. Shout out to Neo Cards and Comics, who you know, is able to give me insight into the card market side of the things. But the article kind of goes on to, you know, talk a little bit about the history, when JSA was founded in 2005 by James Spence. But I kind of want to skip down to some of the parts I think you guys will care more about. James J. Spence Jr. and James J. Spence III will remain at JSA's helm after the transaction closes, and Mark Pepitone, a JSA co-owner and an industry expert in his own right, will serve as senior advisor to the company. The Spences, the JSA brand, and their expert team will continue to provide the same world-class authentication services for autographs, with CGC enabling JSA to offer expanded services to collectors and dealers, such as grading and encapsulation, and to better serve collectors worldwide. So it does feel like JSA is still going to run somewhat autonomously, but it looks like there's going to be integration between the two companies. CCG and JSA are the perfect match, with a shared passion for collectibles along with an unwavering commitment to expertise and integrity, said Stephen Eichenbaum, CEO of CCG. I could not be more pleased with the addition of JSA and the Spences to the CCG family, and I think collectors will love the simplicity and scope of our combined services. The acquisition of JSA is CCG's answer to the countless collectors and dealers who have asked to have their autographed collectibles authenticated and then graded and encapsulated. Although CCG pioneered witness authenticated autographs through its popular CCG or CGC Signature Series service, it has not offered full authentication and grading services for collectibles with unwitnessed autographs. This is the ideal next chapter in JSA's history. CCG's mission and vision are aligned with our own, and we are excited to see what the company's extensive experience and resources can do for autograph authentication and collecting, shared James J. Spence Jr. and Mark Pepitone. This combination is a true testament to the outstanding work of the entire JSA team, whose efforts have made JSA the world's most trusted name in autograph authentication. Well, there you guys have it. That is the highlights of the official press report here for, you know, these two companies coming together, and this is a huge deal. As most of you guys already know, CGC, you know, the one thing that they were not able to provide that CBCS actually had over them was you know, authentication for signatures. And you know, what's kind of so interesting about this is, you know, I always thought that CGC kind of took a stance that they didn't want to do authenticated signatures, simply due to the fact that they felt like, the only way you can really 100% know that an autograph is authentic is if you were there to see it. I mean, that was the witness program that they decided to do. And so it felt like it was more of a philosophy that they actually wanted for their company rather than something that they just weren't able to do. But with this acquisition, I mean, it does feel like, they're looking at this, for the opportunity of it. And, I know what you guys are already thinking with this. I know what probably a lot of comic book collectors are already thinking about this, but, what did we expect? I mean, at a certain point, if CGC wants to corner the market in all things collectible and grading, they were going to have to eventually open up their doors to, the signature side of the business because, frankly, it's huge. I mean, there's massive opportunity for them to kind of have new revenue streams in this side of collecting. I want to read through the FAQs right here because I do think that these have some very important nuggets. And then, of course, I'm going to add some commentary along the way. When can I submit my comics and magazines with autographs for JSA authentication and CGC comics, grading and encapsulating? We expect to start accepting autographed comics and magazines for combined JSA and CGC certification in April. An announcement will be made when these services are available. That's really soon. That's actually, next month, just a few weeks away. So this is definitely something that they've been working on for a long time, the integration. It'll be interesting. I mean, let me know in the comments if you're somebody out there who has some books that you want to immediately send to CGC for this service. What is the difference between JSA autograph authentication and CGC signature series? JSA authenticates autographs that were not signed in the presence of authorized witnesses. We already understood that, using the world's largest autograph database of approximately 1 million files, unmatched expertise, and state-of-the-art technology. With CGC Signature Series, collectibles are signed in the presence of an authorized CGC witness and then immediately submitted for grading. In other words, JSA applies an unwitnessed signatures and CGC applies the witness signatures. That's something really interesting. Do you guys think that there's going to be a difference in value for books that come out of this program that are JSA witnessed versus CGC witness? I already know what the rest of the FAQs say because I did pre-reading before I started recording. But one of the things that, it doesn't necessarily address is if there's going to be, specific notation on the label or if there's going to be a different color. It's probably still going to be a gold label, but I wonder if they're going to give a footnote that says that this has been JSA witness. And I do wonder if that's going to have any effect on the secondary market values. I would imagine that if you're a dealer, an auction house, a comic book seller, you're probably not going to want them to notate those things, because if you start to notate those things, that's when we will start to see, different prices in the market. You guys remember when CGC labels used to actually say cover detached or, actually have some of the errors on the notes? I mean, that was something that they removed, and it was a big deal at the time because clearly people thought that it was important to have those things on the label. But as we all know, it was probably something that made selling books a lot more difficult. So I would imagine that even though there's a technical difference between JSA and CGC, I'm willing to bet that they're going to be using the same labels and we won't really see a difference. Or if we do at the start, eventually that thing will go away. What do I do with comics, magazines, and cards with autographs that have been encapsulated in a CGC qualified green label? We will offer a service for autographed collectibles that are already encapsulated in the CGC qualified grade green label to be rectified with JSA and CGC. Announcements to follow. Well, there you guys go. Crack and press for CGC signature books. Can you guys believe it? Another opportunity to crack your books out. If you guys don't know, if you actually ever got a signature on a comic book and then it was unwitnessed, so let's say that you had Stan Lee sign a book on your cover and it was unwitnessed, and then you sent it in to CGC, they weren't going to give you a gold label. They were going to give you a green label. And what the green label would say is that it's a qualified book, and then it would say something like, writing on the cover says Stan Lee. So they would kind of notate it a little bit. It didn't necessarily affect the values too much. I mean, still some people were able to get a premium because everyone can kind of understand that that was probably a Stan Lee signature. But at the same time, you still had the green label, which kind of made it an eyesore, at least because, we're so conditioned to see green and purple labels as bad things. So it looks like they're going to have a program where, some of those green labels that you guys have that might have signatures on them, you could send them in to get cracked out and reapply to the gold label. What is the pricing going to be? They say that they'll also announce that. Will your CGC membership give give you discounts? Yes, it probably will. Will they eventually take things like video games and VHS and things like that? They say eventually that they will. Will CGC and JSA services be offered at shows? They say that yes, they will be at the shows, and that eventually these services will be available for the international markets as well. Well, there you go, guys. That is the big news. CGC joining forces with JSA. It now seems like CGC is officially in the signature authentication game. And you got to wonder if this is going to be a big blow for, the one advantage that CBCS always had over CGC. I mean, I know off the top of my head, many comic book dealers that, are very, very loyal to CGC, but when they had books that were unwitnessed, those would be the ones that would go into CBCS. Sometimes you find those comic books that have, Jack Kirby's signature on the interior. Sometimes you find those raw books that have Stanley's signature on it. And a lot of people would send it into CBCS. Well, now I feel like those dealers, it's going to be a no-brainer. They're going to immediately send all those books to CGC because, we're still in a place where CGC commands more money on the secondary market. And so this is a big boon for a lot of comic book dealers who have a lot of those books that were forced into a position where they had to take less money with CBCS. And I do think that this is going to be a tough pill for CBCS to swallow. Well, that is me talking about this recent breaking news. What do you guys think about this overall? How do you guys feel about this acquisition? I mean, I think that it's probably exciting for a lot of people. I think it's kind of obvious that CGC was eventually going to open up its doors to some kind of aspect to the industry here. JSA is, very well respected amongst a lot of other collectible groups. So, they acquired seemingly the right partnership right here. And if all things go smooth, it just feels like, CGC is getting bigger and bigger, and they've really positioned themselves to be the de facto company and entity representing the collectible world. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. See you all in the next one.